Right, so now we are to the last part of what we need to do to rig our little fox ball, and that is the swish on the tail. And we're going to use a process called setting driven keys for that. So we're going to add a couple more attributes to our controller, and then we're going to set those up using this set driven key method so that you can make the tail swish around in a lot more sort of pleasing way than just this rotation that we have where it's just straight, because that's not terribly interesting, and so we're going to make that better. So the way that set driven key works is that it will take an attribute that you have in the channel box, and it will associate that with attributes on another object, and so whatever you change in that will change those other attributes as well. So it's a way to take one object and make it control something else, and that's why it's going to really work well when we do it on this controller. So but we need to set up the new controllers first. So with my tail controller selected, I'm going to come up here to modify. I'm going to come down to add attribute, and this is going to add an attribute in our channel box for us. So we're going to call this swish underscore horiz, like for horizontal, and oops. And then our default is going to be 0 because that's going to be not swished at all. And then our minimum and maximum are going to be like the farthest to the right and the left. And so we'll just put like a 5 in one and a -5 in the other. So when we set this new controller to 5, it will swish all the way to one side, and then if we set it to -5, it'll swish all the way to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK for that. And now you can see we have this swish horiz here in our channel box. I'll set it back to 0. So we have another attribute that we've added. So now we need to do another one for the vertical swish, because we want to kind of make it be able to swish up and down as well. So back up to modify, add attribute. This is going to be swish vert. So that'll be our up and down. Default again is going to be at 0, and then we'll do 5 and -5 for up and down as well. Okay, so now we need to start setting up these, because right now they don't do anything. Like we can select this and that will make something happen. But if we try to make anything happen here, nothing happens because these don't really do anything yet. We have to set that up now. So we are going to use the set driven key command, and what we're going to do is we're going to take these two attributes and we're going to make them affect all of the joints in our tail. So I'm going to come up here and change over to the animation menu set and go to key, and we're going to set driven key set, and that brings up this window here. Now the thing about this process is it's very tricky. It's very easy to sort of like get it wrong and have to redo it again, or forget to set a keyframe and have to go back and pick it up, or to get your objects confused. So it's going to take some practice to get this to work right for you probably. But if you keep at it, it's so powerful because you can really make any object do anything with this. I have set up foot rolls for characters with this, finger rolls. I've done blooming flowers. I've done like the claw of the claw machine coming down and picking things up. There's a lot of really, really strong things that you can do with the set driven key if you can get it to work. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do right now. So we've got a driver and a driven, and the driver is going to be where our new attributes are going to be. So I have this selected. I'm going to click load driver, and now you can see I have my tail control and all of our attributes in here. And then what we want the tail to control is all of these joints. So starting from tail 2 all the way through tail 7. I'm just going to hold down Shift and select all those. And you can see that they're all individually selected. What you don't want to do is just select tail 2 and then just think that it's all going to go in there, because it's not. You want to select all the joints, and that's going to be your driven objects. So you've got all of your joints in there. And then we are going to be controlling, let me just double check and see what we're controlling. We're going to have it rotating on the rotate Z and on the rotate Y. So those are the ones that we're going to be controlling. So right now, let's go ahead and just work on the swish horizontal. We're just going to do that one first. So if you select this, it selects it in the scene too, but you're going to select this, select the swish horizontal, select all of your joints, and then you're going to select the rotate Y, because that's going to make it rotate horizontally. And then right now we have everything set to 0. We're in the default position. We need to click this key button right here, and that will key that default position for us, so we can always go back to that. So now our default key is in there. So now we're going to back up to our tail control and go back to our swish horizontal, and I am going to put in a 5. We're going to put in 5 right there. Whoops. In our swish horizontal. And then I'm going to select all of my joints. Right? And you want to select them here. Just drag through right there and select all of them so it looks like this. And then I am going to, we put in 5, that's a positive number. So I'm going to rotate those joints as far as we want for that rotation. So maybe we put it all the way up to 30, because that's a nice curve on the tail, right? And we're not getting a kink really yet, or we could curl it up really far. I'm going to leave that to you. I'm going to say for me, I'm going to leave it about there. And then I'm just going to say 30, just to have even numbers, just because it's easy. So we have our tail selected with our swish horizontal set to 5. We have all these selected, and the rotate Y is set to 30. I'm going to set a key. So now, if we test this, if we select our tail, we test our swish, I'm just going to highlight it and then just middle mouse back and forth. Now we have a swish, right? So that's half of our swish. And we can set keyframes on this now. This is a functional attribute now. But we have to do the other side. So we'll go back up to tail control, swish horizontal. We'll put in -5 right here. And then we'll select all of our tail joints. And then we will rotate those the other way. I want to just go ahead and put in -30 so that it is symmetrical. And then put this key in again. So now, when we go to our tail control, our swish horizontal will swish back and forth just like that. And that's how we're going to do our swish. And then you can set keyframes on this. You can have it just a little bit of a swish or a lot, or however many, whatever you need for whatever you're doing in your scene. You have a nice tail wag now. You can combine it with the rotation too and get all kinds of cool stuff happening. So let's set that back to 0. So we're back in the default position. And now we need to do our vertical swish as well. So, and all I'm doing is I am loading in the driver here and changing the new attributes to whatever the setting is that I want. I'm moving the joints to be in the position I want them to be in when this attribute has that setting in it, and then just keying it in place. And then Maya remembers that that's how this object is supposed to move when we change these attributes. So we're going to do the verticals now. So, and for this we're going to be doing rotate Z. So we're going to change the rotation that we're working on. So we've got the tail control. We're going to go with the swish vert this time. And I'm going to have a 0 in there. And we have all of these selected. And we're going to select the rotate Z. And then this is our default position. We're going to key that in place. So now we can always go back to this position if we put 0 in that swish vert attribute. So now we're going to come back to our tail. We're going to take, let's see, let's make sure what direction we're going in here. Yeah. So on our tail, we're swish vert, I'm going to put in 5. So that's our +5, right? Then I'm going to select all of my tail joints and curl these up in the air however far we want. Do we want to go all the way to 30? Yeah, let's go all the way to 30. So we'll just go ahead and put a 30 in there as well. And then hit key. And now if we go back to our tail control and we highlight our swish vertical, now we have the tail curling upwards. And then the last thing we want to do, whoops, is we want to set our swish vertical to -5. And then all of our tail joints, we are going to curl downwards. Maybe not all the way as far as we did. Let's see. -30 actually looks kind of okay. So we'll do a -30 there and key this again. And now our vertical works as well. So you can key it that way. You can combine it if you need to. So you can make this tail kind of do whatever you want now because we have all of this other curling action set up on it. And then we can set that back to 0 and it'll go back out to straight. So that is the set driven key. It's tricky. It's tricky to make sure that you have everything selected and set where you want it to be before you hit key. A lot of times you'll forget to hit key and then you'll think it's supposed to work and then it doesn't, and then you have to rekey stuff. So it's kind of a process working with this. Please ask us for help anytime that you run into trouble because we know that this is tricky to work with. But if you can get it to work, you can do lots of really cool things with this technique. So, and now this ball is ready to animate. Everything is set up, it's all rigged, it's bound, it's got all the functionality that it needs, and it's all clean and nice to use, and it's ready to go. So this ball, go ahead and do the rest of the animation for the assignment with this, and then submit it to Canvas, and you're all set. Thanks very much.